Boxing King Media in association with Box Raw. Mr. Dmitiriy, Salita, I really appreciate your time. I know you've had a really busy week getting a big fight over the line. So first of all, I'd like to congratulate you getting your guy, Jermaine Franklin, a huge opportunity to fight Anthony Joshua.
Thank you. Very excited, very happy to get it over the line. These big fights are not easy to make, and there's a lot of details that need to kind of line up. And I'm very grateful that everything worked out. And Jermaine's going to have this opportunity once again to prove his worth and to prove his eliteness at the highest level on April 1st.
Well, that's the reason I'm speaking to you as well. I want to speak about these little details because I've just been reading up about it, and all the fans have been obviously. Jermaine's name has been the name that Eddie Hearn has mentioned numerous times over the last few weeks, but as fans, you just never know. So,
right.
To my understanding, I think Eddie said there were 3 people in the running. Obviously, Jermaine was one of them. Do you know who the other 2 people were?
Otto Whalen was the other guy because we spoke meaning in a serious way about making a deal for Otto, and I believe the other one was the Australian Dempsey McKean, I believe is his name.
Interesting.
From what I heard, but I can't really comment on Dempsey because I have no association with him. So based on what I've read, that seemed to be the guys. But I know that with Otto, we had some discussions. They were lukewarm and they kind of faded out over the last 2-3 weeks and kind of focused more on Jermaine.
Why do you think they've picked Jermaine Franklin?
Well, I think that Joshua has a kind of a fine line of picking someone that is legitimate, but he also feels is not incredibly risky. And the other thing is, it's a divided world, so it will be much more challenging for Eddie to make a deal with any of the other promoters who have exclusive deals with networks, because then it becomes a whole more difficult situation. And we see that a lot of big fights, even a lot of fights that are not that big, meaning on a global scale, but are significant to boxing fans, do not get made because of these relationships, exclusive relationships, and the difficulties that they entail in making these fights. So my motto is to be inclusive, not to be exclusive, and to work with everybody, and to make the biggest and the best fights for the fighters that I represent, and as importantly, for the boxing fans, because the sport of boxing only grows when fans are excited and tuned in, and look forward to a big fight night. And for that to happen, competitive fights need to happen. So I believe that Otto is a southpaw, and it's a traditional boxing rule has been that you try to avoid southpaws. And Anthony has lost to southpaw twice in Usyk, and Otto is not just a guy off the block. He gave Tyson Fury the toughest fight of his career. Having a new trainer and all that, I think that Otto has proven to be too difficult. Jermaine, I believe most felt that he beat Dillian White, and he's shown that he belongs on a world-class level, but it's his first kind of big opportunity. And I believe that Joshua's camp may be taking him lightly and feeling that maybe it was just a fluke, maybe Dillian wasn't ready, maybe he's over the hill. And I believe, like, from all the respectable opponents, they believe that it's like a combination of what they feel fits their style, easier to make the fight, and all those things came together. And again, I feel that we're here very reasonable to make a good, fair deal for the fighters we represent, and for the other side as well. And I'm very happy, like I said in my previous interviews with you, that towards the end of last year, I mean, we've always done it, but towards the end of last year, we did a deal with Boxer, did a deal with PBC, with Heyman, and had a deal with Eddie and with the Zone. So I'm very grateful for having working relationships with all of the significant networks in the business and making the biggest and the best fights for my fighters.
Yeah, you back that up as well, and I concur. With regards to making this deal, how difficult was it to get this deal over the line? Because obviously you're dealing with Anthony Joshua, who is still a global icon, who I mean, he still brings a lot to the table. So how easy and or difficult was it to get this fight, paper signed and, the nitty-gritties of the contract to be, put over the line?
I have a friend of mine who's been in the boxing business for a long time, and he said someone should make a film about how difficult it is to make a world heavyweight championship fight. Now, this is not a championship fight, but it's close to it because like you said, Anthony Joshua is a huge star, global star, not just in boxing but in the sports world. Look at his Instagram; he has, I think, 14.8 million followers. Incredible. Probably not a lot of people have such a social media following and obviously have such popularity. So Anthony Joshua is a tremendous athlete, a tremendous figure inside the sport and outside the sport. And Jermaine, who had a very successful fight against Dillian White in his last fight, has also believed in himself to be a star, to be a superstar, and that's why he's been as successful as he's been because he believes in himself, and he believes that he belongs on that stage as well. So you got to balance, the different positioning of these two great athletes, and Jermaine ultimately is the guy that gets in the ring for my side and has to weigh in his own mind the risk versus reward, and he really believes in this opportunity more than the payday and the fame and all the stuff. He really wants the opportunity, and he's coming, no doubt about it. He's coming to win and put it all on the line on April 1st. I know this for a fact.
I spoke to Jermaine in the build-up to the last fight against Dillian White, and he told me that prior to that fight, he was working in a wool factory, working long hours, and Eddie Hearn promised him a 7-figure payday should he beat Dillian White. So is he getting? I don't know. I know you can't tell me the exact figure, etc. But I just want him to be comfortable, and I'd be happy for him and his 2 girls and his son that he's, no matter what happens, this fight is going to set him up for life.
Set him up for life is a very big statement. If he does what I believe he can do, he will have an opportunity to set himself up for incredible things. He's making a good payday, obviously his biggest one of his career, and really,
he promised him 7 figures because that was from an interview. He said that.
I
think he said if he beats Dillian White, then it's a 7-figure payday against Anthony Joshua. I remember that.
Well, with all due respect to Eddie, what he said was already contractually negotiated from us. So there was no way. So yes, so it would have to be a 7-figure payday because that was the way it had to be. So, but I don't have the. You can ask Jermaine, and Jermaine can share with you what he feels appropriate. It's not my position to talk about the fighters' purse that are with me, and But
it's just nice, from
Jermaine. Again, he's obviously making the biggest payday of his career. But it's within reason, and meaning that I believe in this situation, it's more about the opportunity than about the payday for Jermaine. And like I told him, and I told his managers, this is the beginning of a tremendous journey. Jermaine is very young. He has a lot of similarities to Andy Ruiz, and it has a lot of the ingredients that made him victorious versus Anthony Joshua. And the sport of boxing is about trajectory. Anthony Joshua, great athlete, a lot of respect for him, tuned into many of his fights, Olympic gold medalist, then won the world title against Charles Martin fairly quickly, then incredible historic fight versus Vladimir Klitschko, which was one of the greatest heavyweight fights in recent times, beating such a heavyweight legend. And then I guess you can see, if you're a boxing purist and you pay attention to the sport, then just very slight decline versus Joseph Parker, not as exciting, good, great, but just a little bit below the line of elite, Dominic Brazil and all the other guys. And then Andy Ruiz, June 1st, 2009, sorry, June 1st, 2019, it's a day that is forever ingrained in my mind because I thought I had my guy going to score the big upset, which is Jarrell Big Baby Miller. But after that, Anthony Joshua, who's a great fighter and a great athlete and done tremendous for the sport of boxing in the UK and worldwide. Ever since then, the trajectory has gone downhill. And the rematch with Ruiz, he won, wasn't spectacular. The fight versus Pulev, he won, wasn't spectacular. Then the 2 losses to Usyk. Jermaine Franklin, on the other hand, won the National Golden Gloves. He beat Cam Awesome. Well, I believe his name is Cam F and Awesome, or Cam F Awesome. He changed his name. Who was a longtime U.S. national champion. First year, Jermaine lost to him in the finals, and then he beat him. If you look at Jermaine's first 10 professional fights, he's beat 4 or 5 undefeated fighters. And that almost never happens when a young guy coming up. And Jermaine has had he's been very gradually ascending up that scale. Very gradually, just a gradual ascent. Rydell Booker, fought him on Showtime, fought some other decent, tough journeyman. And in his last fight, he put it all together when he fought Dillian White.
So do you think the timing's right? You think
the timing is right for sure? The timing is right. I mean, Anthony Joshua is still very good and still dangerous, and Jermaine is going to have to be at his best. But I believe that he has the skills to pay the bills and the skills to show the world what he's made of. And most importantly, that one of the things that you got to pay attention to, like Ruiz, Jermaine has a good shin and he's got a lot of heart. He wants to fight. You hit him hard, he'll come right back. He'll hit you harder. And being on the stage and having the mental strength to perform outside of home on enemy territory, so to say, is really, and you can't teach it. And he did it. I believe Anthony Joshua would have beaten Ruiz had the fight been in the UK, but being thousands of miles away from home in unfamiliar territory is not easy. I know this as a fighter, it's not easy. And I believe Jermaine has the mentality to put it all together and to bring back that victory to Michigan, USA, on April 1st.
Is there a rematch in the contract? If should
I can't disclose the details of the deal, but I'm sure that if Anthony Joshua will want to fight Jermaine again, we'll give it serious consideration. But first things first, all focus is on April 1st.
And I read Dmitiriy yesterday. There was an issue in the 11th hour. There was an article online saying there was an issue Sunday night where you guys worked throughout the night to get the fight over the line. Obviously, it's not an official source. It was online on a news website. No Smoke Boxing, I quote. Can you tell us anything about that? Was there an issue?
Like I said in the beginning of this interview, it's not easy to make these big fights, and it did get done at the 11th hour. That is true. And I'm happy that we got over the line and the fight got done. We are excited about all the possibilities and opportunities for April 1st and the new life that it could bring to Jermaine Franklin.
Great stuff. And just to wrap up, I think credit to Anthony Joshua as well, because people that know boxing, Jermaine Franklin is not an easy fight. What he did against Dillian White. And I think Dan Rafael tweeted it today as well, that it's a good fight. And considering all the people that are available, AJ could have picked an easier opponent. And I think he's going straight in against a hard opponent, and it's not an easy fight. So respect to him.
I agree with you. Respect to Anthony Joshua. I've been a fan and followed him throughout his journey. He is one of the most dominant heavyweights of this generation. And yeah, coming off 2 losses, certainly could have picked somebody easier. And although there may have been some resistance to it, I do believe that he could have gotten away with it, but he chose to fight a significant opponent, someone which will show where he's at. But I believe that it's quite the opposite, and it is Jermaine's opportunity, like it was with Dillian White, to show where he's at and who he is. So April 1st, all eyes, the O2 Arena on Jermaine Franklin. And the O2 Arena, we have good luck at the O2 Arena.
you do with the Cruiser Shields last time out. But it's worth mentioning as well, Jermaine Franklin, when I spoke to him, it's amazing to see his story from a guy that worked in a factory a year or 2 years ago, and now he's going to make
Yeah,
life-changing money in a huge fight. And if he wins, his life's completely changed forever. And when I met him, he come across as a very humble man, family
yeah,
oriented, and he loves his missus and his two daughters and his son, and I like that about him. So all the
yeah.
best to him.
And he's from Saginaw, Michigan, a small town about 2 hours from Detroit. And he had a dream since he was a kid. Went to boxing gym, slowly started to progress, stuck with it. I've signed him a little more than 3 years ago. When I saw him, I told him that he has the skills to be one of the best heavyweights in the world. And for me, I'm very grateful on a personal level and a professional level when you believe in somebody and you see their potential, and then you have a chance to see it flourish. And we saw some of it in Dillian White fight, and now to be able to secure this great opportunity for Jermaine, which really is going to change his life. Regardless, it's going to change. Regardless of what happens, I feel like his life has changed with the fight of How many people can say that they fought on the highest level uh, against one of the greatest heavyweights of the generation? So,
And he's come out of
but
nowhere because up until a year ago, nobody ever
I
heard
don't
of
know,
him. Franklin.
not to us, but to the greater boxing world. Yes,
Definitely.
he's come out of nowhere, and
And
I'm
credit to
very excited.
yourself. Credit,
I'm sorry.
credit to yourself, Dmitry. Credit to yourself because you believed in him and you've got him this opportunity, and now he's here, and it's up to him to take that opportunity. So credit to you
Yeah,
for believing
thank,
in him. It shows the work you're doing, within your field in over there in the States.
thank you. So one of our platforms of development is these shows in Detroit, and Jermaine has fought on some of them here. Detroit, Flint, has a tremendous amount of talent, and I'll be meeting with you again. And we'll be talking to some of the other great fighters that are lining up to fight some other significant fights in the near future.
This Thursday, hopefully.
Yes,
Okay. Dmitry Salita, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on and talking in detail about the fight. And I wish your guy all the best, and may the best man win.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. See you soon.
Thank you.